You're watching Capital City Sunday.
Let's bring in the mayor of Wausau now, Katie Rosenburg. Mayor, we appreciate you taking a few minutes to be with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me today.
So briefly, Mayor, how has your community been affected by PFAS contamination?
Oh, we have been greatly affected. At the beginning of 2022, we tested every single one of our drinking wells for PFAS. And as we discovered, every single one of those wells, all 6 of them, had contamination between 20 and 50 parts per trillion in each well, which is above the health standard and also some of the recommendations that we're seeing now out of the EPA. So we had to address that. And we went through temporary solutions. Right now, we're currently on our temporary solution, and that's kind of a proprietary resin that we have in our anion exchange unit, which is a lot of words to say. It's PFAS attracting resin. And so the reason it's not our permanent solution is because it costs about $1 million every year to refresh that resin, and we do have to do it about every year. But we're well on our way. We've started construction. This season has been interesting, so we've gotten a little further along than we anticipated. But our granular activated system should be online by the end of this year. So that'll be permanent. We won't have to refresh so much. But again, when we're talking about dollars, that's a $17.5 million system that we're putting online that we weren't expecting to when we were building our new treatment facility. So we've put in a lot of money, ratepayer and taxpayer, ARPA funding. We got an earmark from the senator. But we still have quite a bit of debt we'd love to retire. We'd love to be able to talk through our rate case again. We've raised our rates 65%. So, we're in a place where the dollars are what matters to my community right now. So that's kind of what I've been talking about to our lawmakers and our governor.
Well, Mayor, there's a stalemate right now in the state legislature over how to fight PFAS contamination. Now, we've talked about it during the show here. The governor wants the Joint Finance Committee to release that trust fund money. He does not support the GOP-authored PFAS bill that just cleared the legislature. Democrats just proposed their own legislation with new proposals at every turn, Mayor, and the floor session nearly at its end. Lawmakers don't have a lot of time to get things done. What needs to happen to work for communities like yours?
Right. So what we really were hoping for, and this is what we were pushing for as a city council, we actually sent in a letter of qualified support for SB 312. And we said that the things that mattered to us that we weren't sure were addressed very well in that initial bill. And then the amendment was that we wanted to make sure we could count on the DNR to have enough staff there to administer the program. We don't want them to lose their authority. And especially things like the spills law were really important. We didn't want that to be chipped away at. So those were the things that we said. Other than that, obviously we support the trust fund. We thought that was really important. We're glad it got in the budget. And I've had a chance to review the other bill as well that the Democrats have offered. And it's very similar to the CLEAR Act that we've seen for the last couple of years. This might be the second or third time we've seen it. And overall, it's a good bill. I'm very interested in the fact that one of the updates to it was a ban on PFAS-containing products and phased out use of that. So that's one of those things that's kind of interesting to me because I think when we're asking our taxpayers and our ratepayers to remediate pollution, and then we're not asking people to stop using those PFAS products, that's a problem and a disconnect that I think should be addressed. However, we do want to make sure that enough people have had an opportunity to weigh in on this. It's going to affect things, and especially organizations up here too. You've seen some of the ways a ban on PFAS has affected other states, like Maine. So you want to make sure that you are working with your labor force and all of those organizations to make sure it's a possibility to phase out the use of these products too.
Well, the governor has indicated he's going to veto that bill that you discussed there from the Republicans. And so with that in mind, again, not a lot of time here. If there's no action from lawmakers in Madison anytime soon, how can your community move forward in the effort to reduce or remove PFAS? Is there going to be a continued financial concern here?
Yes, there is definitely. First of all, the answer is we are moving forward. The PFAS is out of our water, and that's really important for people to know. We are removing it, and the water is safe to drink. But I think what we are going to see is a lot of anger over inaction from Madison on this. And I think that's going to be the problem. You know, I represent a city that is quite purple. We're split down the middle of Democrats and Republicans. So we do a lot of compromise discussions here, and we talk through the issues. And what we expect from our representation in Madison is that they're doing the same thing and that they're representing us. So we want to see somebody come together. We want to see them all come to the table and get this work done for us because it's critical, and we can't continue paying for this this alone. So that trust fund, we are ready. We are ready to go once that's offered to us. I'm actually hoping that the Joint Finance Committee does take this up because they'll be able to release the money to us, and we'll be able to start accessing that, and our ratepayers and taxpayers can be happier. You know, the policy items that are both in both of those bills, that's something that needs to get ironed out between them. And I mean, the session is basically over. You have to be in session in order to debate these things. So start talking through that now and get those sessions going. But let's release the money, and then we'll talk about it again in January, I guess.
Mayor, there are some concerns that releasing that money without a quote unquote plan, you know, Republicans have that opinion, would just maybe turn it into some sort of government slush fund. So my question for you is, how would Wausau use that money from the trust fund specifically if it receives it?
Right. So it would obviously be a council decision and a utility commission decision. Part of what I'm seeing, because we've already invested in these programs, we have our $17.5 million that we borrowed to pay for the granular activated carbon. We'd be able to pay some of that off. We would be able to pay for some other programming, our resin. You know, we've had really great relationship with the DNR and being able to get funding through their revolving loan programs. But this would be another step for us to be able to pay off some of that debt because it is a hefty cost. And I know that Wausau is not alone in having a cost to remediate, but we are alone in that every single one of our drinking wells is contaminated. So that's something that is unique to us. And I can't speak for the entire city council, but what I would be pushing for is that we were able to pay for some of that borrowing as it relates to granular activated carbon.
Wausau filed a lawsuit in December against dozens of PFAS manufacturers and major insurance players that aims to hold them responsible for that groundwater contamination in Wausau. Where does that lawsuit stand?
Yeah, so we are actually a part of a couple different lawsuits. One of those is the multi-district litigation, which I'm sure you've reported extensively on. Many hundreds and hundreds of municipalities and utilities are part of that. But this one is specific. We filed it in Marathon County Court, Circuit Court, so that we have that local court case taking place. So right now it's been assigned to a judge. And we are kind of waiting to see what's next. But it hasn't been thrown out. We saw our neighboring municipality in Eau Claire filed a similar type of a lawsuit, and it was pretty much immediately punted out to federal court. This one's still in local circuit court, so we're hoping that we're able to make our case here in front of a jury of our peers.
Mayor Katie Rosenburg of Wausau, thank you so much for being with us for a few minutes this morning. Appreciate the time.
Thank you so much.